Hello and welcome to Sound Bites. I'm Holly Whitfield, Digital Director at the Daily Memphian, and I am here on site at the Memphis Filling Station Brewery Taproom. It is an active operating brewery happening right now around us. They're doing maintenance on things, moving things around, so if you hear sounds, that is just all part of the show today. And I'm here with two of the co-owners of the Memphis Filling Station Brewery, Brian Beretta and Scott Clycontini. Soundbites is a Daily Memphian's weekly food, drink, and dining podcast. You can tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11 a.m. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes or Spotify or wherever, or you can listen at thedailymemphian.com as always. Again, this week we're talking with Memphis Filling Station co-owners who just opened their brewery downtown on G.E. Patterson on September 13th, 2024. If you're listening on WYXR, let me tell you that next up you'll hear the Sidebar podcast with Daily Memphian CEO Eric Barnes, so keep listening. But let's get started with the chat. Like I said, we're sitting here, the new tap room, a big open room. Everything is in the same space. We've got the bar, we've got the brewery equipment, we've got bags of stuff that makes beer. We have tables and chairs, really nice natural light in here, a very cute brewery dog. This is a 10-month-old black lab named Max. He is adorable. You guys opened Friday the 13th with a tropical storm coming. How did that go?
I think we neither one of us are superstitious.
Okay.
We really aren't. We knew that it was going to be a fun way to market.
Tell us a little about yourself. Scott, who are you? Where did you come from? How did you get here? What are your other jobs besides making tasty beer?
All right. Let's see. I came from California by way of Washington, D.C. I've been an educator the last 20 plus years, and the last several years, I was jumping around to different schools, helping set up experiential learning programs and project-based learning. And I had gotten to know Brian maybe 10 years or more ago, coming to education conferences here in Memphis while he was working with the tech department at Lausanne.
That was 14 years ago, just to be clear.
Yeah, don't remind me. But anyway, so our friend Jesse Laura, also another owner, was kind of he was the butter between the bread, and we hit it off right away. He was making beer, I was making beer. He was dreaming of a brewery, I was dreaming of a brewery. And so that has been the conversation for over a decade is, are you open yet? Are you open yet? And just back and forth. About 3 years ago, I was switching schools and I just had a major life decision to make. Do I want to keep switching schools or do I want to really pursue this? So I called up Brian and said, how close are you? And he's like, if you move here, we'll be a lot closer. So I packed up the wife, the kid, the dog, the cat, and just moved to Memphis to make this happen.
Brian, tell me about yourself. Are you a born and bred Memphian, or how did you get here?
I am born and bred Memphian. I've been here all my life, minus my 5-year program at UT Knoxville.
Okay.
Been here my whole life, educator by trade, by training, and been in education for just over 26 years. I've worked at numerous independent schools around the city. I was a classroom teacher for many years. I did classroom integration, technology administration. I was director of technology at a few schools. About 10 years ago, my wife and I were on a trip, headed down to take the kids to Disney. And we stopped at a growler shop along the way. And my wife's like, you should do something like this. You could do it. And I'm like,
famous last words.
Right. I'm like, wait, that's an option? I mean, I could actually, you think we could do this? And so went home after that, sat down with Heather, and Heather and I hashed out this business plan. And we had originally planned to just be a growler shop.
Mm-hmm. That's the Memphis Filling Station name.
That was where the Memphis Filling Station came in. We started working around with different organizations in the city, We were invited to Science of Beer as a sponsor in 2015, where a great guy by the name of Joe Barnes, he used to do the MS Brew movement, the multiple sclerosis fundraiser. And Scott and I both have very close ties to that. And it was one of those things where, okay, yeah, what do you need from me? And Joe said, hey, you should bring some of your beer. And I'm like, no, no one drinks my beer but me. I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. He said, no, just bring it. And so Heather and I show up with about 75, 80 bottles, and we're just pouring bottles all night. And at the end of the night, we'd gone through every bit of it. And Heather looked at me and goes, that was awesome. That was fun. We kept bringing our beer to events. It kept getting more and more popular, and people started asking for us by name. Kept asking, where can we get the beers?
You kept winning. People's Choice and
we
Best
won,
Beer Awards.
Yes, we won People's Choice at the Science of Beer 3 times. 4 if you include the year that they did not have an official trophy.
Brian is very, very motivated by trophies.
Sure.
We're trying to come up with lots of games here at the brewery that involve trophies that'll draw him in. Yes.
Good plan.
I am perfectly okay up until you tell me there's a trophy. We were perfectly fine last year being involved with Cooper Young, the beer fest. We go to the brewers' dinner. All is good in the world. And then Andy Ashby pulls me aside and goes, have you seen the trophy? And Jesse, who was with me, will tell you that my demeanor changed. I was like, trophy? There's a trophy. And sure enough, that was it. That's all I had become hyper fixated on the fact that there's a potential trophy to win.
Well, I see it over there on the bar.
We won
so
Best Brewery in Memphis at Cooper Young, which became a huge point of conversation the next day of how can you be the best brewery you don't have a location. And that was okay, we've got to get this done quick.
We're fixing that.
We're fixing that. And it was actually that weekend, the weekend of Cooper Young Beer Fest, was the weekend that we toured this space.
Yes. And
we were like, we have a space. We can't say a word about it, because even though the Friday the 13th thing I wasn't superstitious about, that I was. And
so had you always wanted to have a space downtown, or was it just like wherever the right space is, we'll go there?
We had several areas in mind. Originally, we were looking in Midtown, primarily because it would make our commute to work so much shorter. Midtown, I think all the way out to spaces near the university, spaces downtown. It was really more about finding the right space.
Yeah.
The one that had the right segmentation, the right flow. There were a lot of buildings that were just kind of the way that they were parsed around. Just great location, just not the right space.
But then you found this one, and if people don't know, it's sort of down the street, a little bit east of the Arcade Restaurant and Central Station, just up the street from Ernestine Hazel's and all that. Next to sharing a wall with Renee's Sandwich Shop, underrated little spot down here. So, but what did this space used to be before you guys turned it into your brewery?
Oh, what wasn't it? It was a CrossFit gym. It was a nonprofit. It was an event space. It was a paint shop. I believe it was a Porter Paints years and years ago. It's 110 years old. Who knows what it is?
Yeah. That's amazing. So I know you've gotten some media attention as you opened this past weekend, and off mic you had mentioned to me, Brian, that there's 2 things that news outlets really want y'all to talk about. They're really hyper focused, to use the word, on these 2 things. What are the 2 things that TV news, other news outlets are always trying to get you to talk about, and now I am too?
The 2 things we're always asked.
Yes.
Why move down here when crime is so bad? And why open a business when so many restaurants are closing? I'll begin by saying Scott and I are neither experts in crime prevention, nor are we experts in the economics behind restaurants closing.
Sure.
We are educators by trade. We are scruffy brewers by night. We love what we do. We love our community, and we saw what part we could fill to help be a part of that community. What we could do to, if everyone took that one little piece that they know they could contribute to make the community better, the community would improve. When we continue to be asked, well, what about crime? Okay, I don't have crime numbers on hand, so I can't speak on that. Yes, we have seen crime. We have heard the gunshots. We all know someone who is a victim of violent crime. What part can we play in this? We can help support our local law enforcement. We can create a community space that helps to better the neighborhood.
Other than that, just make beer. Yeah.
Right, just make good beer. That really is it.
And the other perspective is, I've lived in a lot of major metro cities all over the country. San Francisco all the way to Washington, D.C. And they all have the same sound bites. That is what everybody's focused on. So it's happening everywhere. And everybody focuses in on the statistics, but if you really look at it, we're talking about like 0.1% difference as to who's winning the crime numbers. And for us, it's more indicative of, all right, the community clearly has needs. What part can we play in alleviating some of the things that contribute to that? And so that's the way we're going to constantly be thinking about it is, we're a small business. What can we do with the community? We are not the local government. We're not the local law enforcement. They can do their thing. But what can we do to contribute to that?
Makes sense to
help
me.
it.
Yeah. Then speaking of sound bites, I wanted to remind our listeners that they are listening to the Daily Memphian's Sound Bites podcast. I'm Holly Whitfield, Digital Director at the Daily Memphian. I'm here at the working active brewery tap room for Memphis Filling Station downtown with two of the owners, Brian Beretta and Scott Contini. Their other owners, Heather Reed and Jesse Laura, are also a part of the team, but we are here with Scott and Brian today talking about their stories. And we'll keep going because I want to hear more about the tap room itself, what plans you have for it, how many taps you got. Y'all got a leaderboard going up here. I was here over the weekend to check it out. That was causing some drama on the leaderboard of people checking in on their Untapped app on these screens. So what all do y'all have going on over here?
Currently we have 7 beers on tap. And some great Memphis water. So we have a few different beers, a couple of our staples, our flagship beers like our left-handed screwdriver, citrus honey wheat made with the local honey from Makes You Tingle, and our Within Tolerances coffee milk stout made with a local coffee from Jay Brooks.
Good stuff. Yeah.
It's real good stuff. We have a few IPAs, pale ales, and then we have a couple of our variants, because that's one of the things that we really enjoy is just having fun with beer. Beer should be fun.
Right.
It doesn't need to be serious. I mean, there are serious sides of it that we have to take with when we make it, but sharing it with the community should be fun. And this should be a place that you come to have fun and enjoy the good beer and enjoy the people you're with and meet new people. The number of people who've walked in and said, yeah, this is my new spot.
Yeah.
That I was like, great, because we want you back. You go back to a spot because you have memories there, right? You met someone there, your friends hung out there, and we hope that we can help people create new memories and create new memories in a location in an area downtown that has that's kind of on the just on the edge of downtown.
Yeah.
And create traffic from South Main through us to our neighbors,
Right.
to Beale.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, right over here, you're not far from Wiseacre's downtown headquarters, and you're not far at all from up the street from Ghost River's South Main location that they actually just reopened a new part of it this weekend too. And when I came in here on Sunday, like, I had come from Ghost River, and I feel like that's going to be a great experience for people, whether they live downtown or whether they're coming in like for Sunday afternoon. You know, they're parachuting in from Midtown like I did and, you know, doing kind of a little brewery tour because you guys are all right here. And I think it's just going to be good for everybody. Are there any other ones
You are
right around here?
You're
that
a
I'm
short Uber ride.
Yeah.
From Ghost River. That's a nice walk from Ghost River to us, to Wiseacre, and then up to Soul and Spirits, Grind City.
Yep. On the north end of downtown.
On the north end. Go over to the edge and to the ravine, and you get to Memphis Made's absolutely beautiful location. And then, you know, hop over to Cooper Young, and you've got Cooper House and Urban Consequence. There are so many great breweries in this city. And I'll tell you, we have had that the first couple of days we were open, and we had a couple of guys from Grind City here last night. The Bartosh brothers and Wiseacre were sitting over here at this table on Friday. With Ben from Meddlesome, Drew and his crew from Memphis Made, Travis from over at Cooper House. That has been the most rewarding part. Has been just the support, the help along the way. Is we don't have all the answers, and being able to reach out and say, "Hey guys, we are a pound short on this hop. Anybody got something?" It's been just fantastic. The brewers in this city, they're all really good people.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear everybody is supportive and friendly. Okay, I'm also looking at your popcorn machine, just to change the subject a little bit because it's right here. What is up with that?
We wanted to have a little something that everybody could have access to that would kind of, you know, a lot of times you go to a brewery and you're like, you know what, I need something to eat. And if they don't have anything to eat, they're going to find somewhere nearby to go. And so if you just need a little something, that one's not going to hit your tab. Mm-hmm. You know, you can have that.
The popcorn with all the different flavor.
Whatever you want, you can make it your own and just keep hanging out with us, keep making some stories to share with other people about the time you had here.
You do have a plan for food, though.
We do.
Right.
We have very, very small kitchen space, just small bites. And the idea is, you know, have a little something that, you know, for people when they feel like they want to stay, they're a little bit hungry, and they don't want it to be this, you know, massive ordeal. We didn't want to open a full-blown restaurant and have to deal with that. We wanted something that was, you know, real easy, pub style,
right.
With our own little twist. So really it's like, you know, grown-up version of like middle school lunches is really what we provide.
That sounds great. And do y'all plan to start that service?
Wednesday.
That'll fire up Wednesday.
Okay.
We've tested a few things over the weekend. We have a good friend of ours, an amazing local chef. His name's Matt Barr. Mm-hmm. I give Matt so much credit. Came in and really helped work through some of our ideas. We gave him this crazy idea of, it's, you know, if we were left to our own devices, we'd eat like 6-year-olds all the time. But we need to make it a little nicer. Pretzels and beer cheese. He goes, well, we can make the beer cheese with your beer. And he helped us put together this beer cheese recipe that is just fantastic, and helped us source pretzels that are as big as my head, which is rather large. Hot dogs that all beef franks that are just, I mean, they're amazing, and the buns are just they're soft and they're fancy.
It's a little better than your average
Right.
ballpark dog.
A little better than that's a good way of putting it. But
Now, what beer does that pair with?
just about any of them, really.
Perfect.
Lord knows I've paired it with just about all of them.
Yep, by the time
Yes.
you're listening, run down here and get some of these snacks. We're going to finish up soon, but I wanted to hear about the Untapped leaderboard and about y'all's favorite beers that you have Untapped. Now, what do they taste like? What are they like?
So Untapped, we've been using it almost since it started. The social network for beer drinkers. And amongst our craft brewer connoisseur friends, they have massive competitions on how many different beers from around the world can they consume. And we have friends who are in the thousands of different beers. And then there's people like me and Brian who are like, yeah, we check in every so often. We have like, a few hundred, maybe approaching, 1,000 because it's been so long.
Right.
But Untapped has also grown as a business, and they've really seen their market, and breweries are a big market. One thing they struggle with usually is menu boards, like having to format your own graphics and do all that. So they have beautifully formatted menus, and it comes along with their social media ticker at the bottom. And so you can see who's checked in the most recently.
At Memphis Filling Station.
It does quite a few things. Those that are here can kind of see what beers people are having. And then also if they're just on Untapped and they look at, what's being consumed nearby, all of our beers then start filling up that space. And it makes people kind of make choices about where do they want to go next. Oh, I haven't had that beer. Oh, I want to check that one in. And then they're going to come on in. And then we have some friends who longtime users and have like the premium packages, and they can like time all of their check-ins. So the battle that we had was somebody who basically filled all of the spots available on the ticker with future check-ins, which was hilarious because then everybody was fighting to like try to be the next one on the board.
Friendly competition.
We may have to come up with a trophy or something for that.
Your favorite beer on tap right now?
My favorite beer on tap right now is the Within Tolerance's Vanilla Latte. I absolutely love that beer.
And what is that like?
It is currently we're serving it on nitro, so it's got tiny bubbles.
Yeah.
It's a little softer mouthfeel. Our Within Tolerances is it's a milk stout, so it's a very dark beer, a little bit sweeter, not very bitter at all. Even much of the bitterness is coming from the coffee addition. And we use the coffee that we use from Jay Brooks. We worked with Jay Brooks for 2 years to develop this blend. And it is a very nice, smooth, caramelly, almost chocolate-covered peanut flavor beer or coffee. So just a fantastic coffee. And then with the vanilla, we add vanilla bean and a little extra coffee to give it a punch. And it's just a fantastic tasting beer.
Yep. Have tried, can confirm. Scott, what is your
My favorite
one?
right now
is your birthday beer?
Is my birthday beer. So we wanted to bring out some new beers when we opened. So we brought out two. We brought out the Bench Vice IPA. It was a recipe we hadn't done in a long time, and we just tweaked it a little bit. So that was new on the tap that people hadn't seen for a while. And then we made a new beer. We made the Tongue and Groove Pale Ale. Mm-hmm. And what I was going for was kind of a Mid-South Pale Ale. One of my takes in making beers is, we need a regional beer. We need a Mid-South flavor. There's the West Coast IPA, the East Coast IPA. We need a Mid-South IPA.
I agree.
And so we're like, okay, we'll start with the Pale Ale. And so right before my birthday, I was kind of looking at what we had available and designed a beer. And the the hop notes that we get off of it are, peach and citrus. And as soon as I smelled the peach on it, I knew I had my next favorite beer. I'm like, wait, Mid-South peaches, done. Nobody does this. Okay, this is the winner. The dry hopped Tongue and Groove, my birthday beer. We lucked out. Releasing that on the 13th, we lucked out. It was a great beer.
Well, this has been really fun. I've loved talking about your story and this brewery that's been in the making for longer than a decade. Congrats on opening. That is all the time that we have for now, but folks can come and have a flight, try all the beers, have a pint, have a pretzel as big as Brian's head.
Which is rather large.
Down here, it's 206 GE Patterson, and that will be great. Y'all can tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11 to hear the Soundbites podcast. Or, of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts, whatever app you use, iTunes or Spotify. You can always listen at dailymemphian.com as well. Thank you, Brian and Scott. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.